Are you tired of being lazy and inconsistent? You do productive things for a few days, but by day 6, you just go back to scrolling, watching porn, and just existing. I used to be someone who was once stuck in this cycle, and because I was so inconsistent, I didn't really achieve much in life. My grades were poor, my physique was below average, and I was always this quiet, introverted person who had no confidence in himself, just a complete pushover. But fast forward to today, all that changed. I am now that person who is a top performing student. I've worked at Fortune 500 companies. I am now pretty athletic, and most of all, my confidence level has skyrocketed. And one of the biggest reasons for my transformation was consistency. It was being able to study consistently day after day that got me the good CGPA. It was being able to consistently practice mock interviews that got me the job. It was me training consistently for years that got me to become athletic. Consistency is that magic ingredient that unlocks all the gifts of the universe. In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the most important principles that allowed me to become consistent. Now, this is not going to be one of those feel-good videos where I talk about some quick 5-minute hack to fix your life. The principles in this video are going to require you to make some serious lifestyle changes. But the results that you're going to get from them are incredibly powerful and very noticeable. So let's get right into them. So one of the biggest reasons why I was never consistent was because I used to think that the only way to make progress and good at something is to make earth-shattering effort every single day. And I think that I picked up this perspective from watching all these gym bros on the internet and watching these movies which are all about the grind. So I was pretty much convinced that if I was not working so hard that my entire body was sore for the next 3 days, or if I was not reading at least half a book a day, then I was just here wasting my time and I was not going to make any progress. But turns out this all or nothing mindset that only values intensity is what was killing my consistency. Because firstly, if you ever give a 10 out of 10 effort to something, you're going to feel fatigued and tired the next day. And this makes it much more likely that you're going to skip that activity for the next couple of days. Secondly, because you're not going to feel like giving a 10 out of 10 effort each and every single day. Maybe you're sick, maybe there's shortage of time, whatever may the reason be. So instead of putting a 7 out of 10 effort on those days and at least getting some amount of work done, I would think that, oh, this is pointless because I cannot give it my all-out effort, then there's no point in doing this thing at all. The way that I think of progress now is very different. I realize that I need to prioritize consistency over intensity. So now my mission has become that I need to work out every single day and I need to work on my business every single day. The intensity has taken a backseat. The effort that I put each day on most things is a 7 out of 10 effort. And I always reserve something in the tank for the next day. Each day I know that I can probably go 4 more rounds on the heavy bag, or I can work for 40 minutes more on my business. But I know that if I go overboard with these activities, I'm going to be all burnt out the next day and probably skip them. So I always leave a bit of extra fuel in my tank. And this way I actually look forward to doing them tomorrow. I realize that operating at 70% for the next 500 days in a row is a lot more sustainable and it's going to give me a lot greater results than operating at 500% for the next 7 days. If you have a really short time horizon to measure your progress, like you want to see progress within the next 3 days, then of course you're going to try to make earth-shattering effort every single day. But instead, if your mindset is like, I am here to play the long game, I want to see progress over the next 3 months instead, then you're automatically going to prioritize consistency over intensity. You know, in life, there is this principle that when you have a bit of something, then it leads to more of that thing. For example, if you have money, then you have more investment opportunities and therefore you can make even more money. When you have some amount of fame, then everyone wants to interview you and this leads to even more fame. This principle is also true when it comes to consistency. Consistency leads to more consistency. I don't know if you guys have ever visited a gym on January 1st, New Year's time. The gym is usually just jam-packed with people who are just getting started out with the whole New Year, New Me mantra. But a month later, that gym is empty with only a handful of people there. But these handful of people are the kind of people who have been going to the gym for the last 10 plus years. Whether it's raining outside or whether it's the weekend, these people just walk in, get their workout done, get out. The reason is that once you repeat something over and over again, then that thing becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a part of your identity. Like those regions of the brain that have been fired over and over again, they wire together so strongly that behavior of going to the gym or reading that book becomes effortless. You do not even have to think about it or motivate yourself. This is why when you first think about starting a new activity in your life, your first priority should be doing that activity in low doses every single day just so that it can become part of who you are. It can become part of your identity. Once something has become part of your identity, then it becomes effortless to do. And that is when you can begin to increase the intensity. What I do sometimes is that I put a mark on my board. And this mark represents that I've done something productive, like reading or working out that day. What I've found is that initially when your board is clean, you don't have any momentum, then it's a bit hard to actually get things started and do these activities. But as soon as you have like 4 or 5 crosses, that is when I felt that I had momentum with me. Like I was riding this big wave, and this wave made it easier to continue my streak. I remember there being days when I did not feel like doing anything productive, but then I would just look at my board and I would see that I have a streak of 32 days, 32 marks on that board, and there's no way that I would want to give that streak up. So I would just get up and get things done. And this principle is so powerful that you see a lot of these apps such as Snapchat and Reddit now have this concept of streaks in them just to get people hooked. So you might as well leverage this concept to your own advantage. If you're someone who has never done anything consistently, then most activities that you will do will offer some kind of resistance. Let's call this thing activity resistance, and this is our big enemy. What I've realized is that in the past, I would try to beat this activity resistance using my willpower alone. So for the first 3 or 4 days, I would be extremely motivated. I would successfully beat this resistance and I would get a lot of productive things done. But then by day 6, once this motivation actually ran out, because motivation is a limited resource and it is bound to run out, that is when once again the resistance would be too much, and then I would go back to procrastinating. You see, the true secret to becoming consistent is not just hyping yourself up with motivation and trying to fight that activity resistance, but the secret is to instead lower the activity resistance to such a level that it becomes effortless to do that behavior. One such way to really lower the resistance of an activity is to remove all uncertainty surrounding that activity. For example, if you are a student and you would like to study consistently to get that 4.0 CGPA, then the first thing you need to do is answer all possible questions when it comes to the act of studying. Questions like, when exactly are you going to study tomorrow? Where are you going to study tomorrow? What are you going to study? Are your notes ready and on the table? The more questions that you can answer and the more specific that you can get with your answers, the lower will be the resistance offered by that activity. Because now your brain knows precisely how to get that activity done. Your brain does not really have to think about things, debate itself, or make any decisions on the go. A good exercise to do would be to figure out 2 to 3 behaviors that you would like to really get consistent at. Then the first thing to do would be to decide at which time would you like to do these behaviors. And this way you can actually construct a routine around these behaviors. Now I want you to close your eyes and actually visualize yourself doing these things tomorrow. Maybe you want to hit the gym tomorrow at 4 p.m. Visualize where your workout clothes are, visualize where your shoes are, and what exactly are the exercises you're going to do once you reach there. When you visualize doing things, you come across all these unanswered questions. And when these questions are answered, then the activity resistance drops. Now look, removing uncertainty from an activity is a great way to drop its activity resistance, but it has its limits. If you're someone who's just sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day, is constantly sleep deprived, then the resistance for most activities around you is just going to skyrocket. Or if you're someone who eats KFC, soda, chips, then once again the resistance for activities is going to skyrocket. And lastly, if you're someone who's stuck sitting in a room all day, does not get any movement or exercise done, then once again, you guessed it, the activity resistance of most things is going to skyrocket. But on the other hand, if you have a rock solid foundation for life, optimal sleep, optimal diet, optimal exercise, then most of the times you do not even have to think about things before doing them. If you would like to work with me in helping you set up these systems in your life, you can finally exit your lazy man era and get things done consistently, then make sure that you click on the link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. Alternatively, you could DM me on Instagram. My ID should be right here.